You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
Greetings, everyone. Coach Jen here, and thanks for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily, episode 1653, where we are joined by HRN founder Glenn the Geek and Jason from Field Guardian Fencing to learn all about electric fence posts, layout, and gates. And today's episode is brought to you by Sentinel Horse Nutrition. Sentinel's full line of 100% extruded feed formulas are designed for easier digestion compared to pellets. Extruded nuggets break down as soon as your horse takes a bite, releasing essential nutrients exactly where they're meant to be absorbed. Discover how extruded feed helps your horse live a healthier life. Visit feedsentinel.com/podcast to learn more or find a retailer near you. That's feedsentinel.com/podcast.
Well, we're back with part 2 of our fencing series that we're doing here on the Horse Radio Network. And I have Coach Jen here with me, host of the Horse Tip Daily Show. And of course, I'm Glenn the Geek with the Horses in the Morning Show. Now, Jennifer, anybody that missed part 1 should go back and take a listen to it because we really established the types of fencing and what we ended up using was the poly tape fencing. And we also discussed about how we came about choosing Field Guardian fencing systems as our choice for the fencing we put up at the new world headquarters of the Horse Radio Network here in Ocala, Florida.
Distractingly beautiful world headquarters.
That is true. Jennifer has the most beautiful view out of her studio window. So let's talk about today in part 2. Let's talk about laying out the paddocks and talk about obstacles and all of the things that you have to take into consideration when you're putting up fencing. And let's help people do it right the first time so they don't have to make the same mistakes we've made over the years. And I have Jason here, who is the founder and owner of Field Guardian. Hello, Jason.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good. Now, we learned some things doing this. We didn't know that we could get so much help, and I don't know if all the fencing companies are this way, but you guys certainly are. When I said, okay, we need 2 paddocks, and this is about the acreage, about an acre and a half, and we're going to need probably this number of gates and everything. We didn't know. And then we looked at your website and we were trying to calculate and figure out all the parts and pieces we needed between the wire and the insulators and all the parts.
A little overwhelming.
It was overwhelming. We just got lost. And then you said, well, you don't do that. You just send it to us and we figure it out for you. We didn't know that existed.
That's a nice feature and a nice benefit we try to provide all of our customers. Some customers already know exactly what they want, and so we just let them tell us what they need. Others don't have a clue. And one of the best ways for us to help them is for them to sketch out a diagram of what they think they want. If they send that to us, we can get them exactly what they need without getting them too much or too little. And there's nothing worse than getting to that last part of your fence and needing one more widget or 2 more of these and not having it. So
that is absolutely true.
or my favorite, ordering the wrong part.
Yeah.
Yes, you guys fixed that for us because technology has come a long way since we built fencing last, and there are all kinds of bits and parts and speciality things that make it go so smoothly. And had I not sent that diagram to you folks, had I tried to do it myself, I would not have been able to take advantage of all those shortcuts, so to speak, that make the fence look good and go up easier and be safer for my horse. You guys were right on it, and I sent you the diagram, you sent it back and said, this is what you need, and ta-da.
Now, what needs to be on the diagram for people who are thinking about this?
Basically, when they lay out their fields, their paddocks, their corrals, just the corners and where they want their wire or tapes to run. And usually we have them mark the corner post and where they want their gates and where their barn is in reference to where they want to put their charger. We don't tell people how to put their fence up, and our philosophy is you build your fence the way you want, and we'll get you the stuff that you need to make it to how you want. Some people like to have their gates hot. Some people don't mind not having their gates hot when they're open. And so those are some of the choices we give people, and if we have it laid out how they want, we'll pick the pieces that fit just their needs without having too much left over or not enough when the time comes to put the fence up.
So the more accurate you can make the measurements about the lengths of those stretches on your fencing, that's the most important thing there.
It is. And sometimes if someone can give us the dimensions of what they want, if they're kind of flexible in what they desire, we can help them maybe change a little bit to limit waste of product Now, for example, if a person wants a 700-foot run, well, if they're not stuck on 700 feet, if we can make it down 650 or 660, that way we can provide one roll of tape that'll do the entire run perfectly without having waste or any cuts or stoppages or connections down the run. Little things like that, by providing a diagram, help us provide what they need faster and easier. The other thing about it, it helps you as a customer save a whole lot of time. You can spend hours trying to figure out the stuff yourself, and we do it every day, so it's a lot easier for us just to help you get what you need quicker.
And you're probably going to save money because you're not ordering stuff you don't need, which is what you're going to end up doing, probably.
That's correct.
Now the gates, where the gates are is important because the number of gates and because that determines what pieces and parts you're going to need. So the number of gates is important. Do you have a recommendation as far as gates are concerned? And I don't mean yet the stuff that used for the gates, but where gates should be and how many there should be in a given paddock?
There's no requirement. I think if people don't have an idea of where to put one, we can help them out as far as logistics and flow of animals. But most times our thought process for gates is you put a gate where you need it. If you want a gate somewhere, put it there. And if it could be better serving the purpose a few feet one direction or another direction, we'll suggest that. But most people have an idea. They want to bring their truck in from this direction and feed over in this corner. They want it right here. And most times people have a good idea already what they need, so we don't have to help too often locate gates. The one thing we do always ask people if they want their gate hot or not when the fence is open. Or I should say, you want your fence hot when the gate is open. And that's one thing that people don't ever think about, is you have a circle or a continuous line of electric fence going up. When you open a gate, that can break the circuit and make the remaining portion of the downstream fence no longer hot. And so
how do you solve that?
Using an under-gate cable to bring the electricity or the shock, the voltage from one side under the fence and connect to the tape on the other side.
So you actually dig a trench under where the gate would be? Yes,
sir, you do. You dig a trench 6-8 inches deep, you bury the cable, and it comes up on the other side, and it continues the voltage down that remaining part of the fence the gate is open.
That's also really nice for folks when you open the gate. You're using an electric fence gate. You open it up, and you drop it on the ground. It makes this lovely little ticking noise, which many, many horses are scared of. And by using that method that Jason just told you about, you don't have that problem.
That's correct.
Well, that's interesting. Now, what about gates and corners? I know there's a lot of people that say you should never put your gate in a corner, that it should be in the middle of the run rather than the corner, because when you're bringing your horses in and out, and then you got them close to the fence, do you have thoughts on that?
We agree with that as well. And sometimes, depending on if you have a metal gate, a pipe fence gate, when you open it all the way up, it'll touch the fence on the other angle.
Ooh, that's bad.
Short out your fence that way as well. So it's not always good to put the fence gate in the corner.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Ouch.
Now, what options do we have while we're talking about gates? We have the metal fence gate. What are the advantages to using the metal fence gate when you have electric fencing?
People are used to it. They like it. That metal fence does not get electrified, and so they can touch it. They can climb over right there if they want to. It's simple to use. Though those type of gates require very sturdy corner posts or gate posts on each side of it. A lot of people make their own gates out of the tape or the rope using a gate handle and a connector, or we actually have some kind of interesting gates that retract into the casing that they come in. So
those are the ones we got.
Those ones you have.
Those are really nice. They're retractable. They're like,
they're spring loaded and they roll themselves up into this little plastic case.
Plastic case, yeah.
They're really nice because it just gets them tucked right out of the way. It's lovely.
It's kind of like a tape measure when you
yes, like a tape measure does, right?
And it sucks itself back in. So you can go
now, how about longevity and durability? That's the one thing that came to mind when we first started using those. Are they going to last?
They should. They don't always. Many people extend them out too far, and just like a tape measure, the springs inside wear down and they'll break. And so if you're using them gently as they should be used, they should last quite a while.
You're not really supposed to let them go and let them go zing. That's probably not good.
That's correct as well.
Yeah, your tape measure, you're not supposed to do that either because that'll wear that out too. I know because I've worn a few tape measures out.
I can see a bunch of 9-year-old boys out at the ranch.
Having fun with that one. Mine can go in quicker than yours.
Zing!
So that's one option that we used. And do you recommend, now, how many strands do you recommend of the poly tape or poly rope?
At least 3, usually. Some people choose 4. It all depends upon the look that they want. Most horses only need 1 or 2.
Right.
And that's usually toward the upper part of the fence. The 2-strand fence kind of looks funny, so people often tend for 3 or 4 if they want to have more of a split rail type looking fence. Some cattle farms, actually, I know you're not talking about cows here, but some cattle farms only use 1 strand of wire.
That never worked for our cows.
No, our cows always got out.
Yeah, but some places do.
We need 12 wires for our cows.
That's why we don't have cows anymore.
Jennifer was so concerned that when I first met her way back in early horse husband days that I was going to grow attached to the cows and we weren't going to be able to butcher the cows. After they got out a few thousand times and we were chasing them around the 100-acre farm, I was ready to shoot them in the field. It was just, I was so sick of those cows after a period of time. Well, we wouldn't have to worry about that if they had a tape fence back then.
Yeah, they didn't have it back then.
So we actually put 4 on ours. We did end up doing 4. And part of the reason that we ended up doing 4 is our fence is dual purpose. Not only does it hold Beaker, our quarter horse, in, we also use it to run our greyhounds. So that's the area where we take our greyhound. Greyhounds can't be let loose because they go 35 miles an hour and they're gone. So we need a fenced-in place to run her, and we just put that extra bottom one on there as a visual barrier for our greyhound. And it's been working out beautifully. She loves it out there.
Oh, that's great.
So there's something that probably you've never used your fence for before, was running greyhound.
Never have.
And it'll probably be the only time, too.
Now, there's one other thing we should cover in this part, and that's posts. What types of posts can you use for the poly tape or the poly rope?
You can use traditional T-posts, wood posts that are either round or square, or you can use temporary plastic or poly posts. Any type of post that you have will work with it. It all depends on the type of insulator that you use to connect your poly product to whatever type of post you have. So if you have a T-post with rope, we have certain insulators that work on T-posts that work for rope. If you have T-posts with a poly tape that's 2 inches wide, we have different insulators that work for that application. And so we have corner post insulators for wood and corner post insulators for T-post, for tape and for rope. And so we have a lot of flexibility in the joining of your wire product with your post.
You recommended to us that we should go, especially down here in the sandy, loose soil that we have in Florida, you recommended that we should go with wooden posts in the corners, and we concreted those in, and then also wooden posts at the gates, which is what we ended up doing, and then everywhere else we used the green T-posts. Digging down here was so easy, it was unbelievable in the sand compared to what we were used to in Pennsylvania in the shale, where we'd get 1 post in a day if we were lucky. But we found that we really like having the wooden posts in the corners as those solid anchors.
That makes a much sturdier fence, and you can pull off of it, and it's just a good practice to have good solid corner posts, because making corners with whatever type of wire product you're going to use, it has a tendency to pull in, and if you don't reinforce that corner T-post, you'll have problems with it eventually.
Because it's got a little spring to it, doesn't it?
Very strong fence.
Yeah.
Now, one other thing about the posts, the wooden posts, is we were told down here that apparently, and I'm sure this is true everywhere, with the weather down here being so hot and humid, is if you use the square wooden posts, they tend to warp and twist. And people down here all tend to use the round wooden posts. So you find that to be the case in all areas of the country, or?
It all depends on the climates and humidity factors and heaves from frost and everything. So different places use different posts, and in Ocala, that's a very common factor, is the heat. And so round posts usually do a little better than wood posts as far as not warping or bending.
Yeah, but the square ones tend to do that. And even when we looked at them in the piles at the store, those square ones tended to be a little twisted.
That's correct.
Yeah. So we did end up going with the round ones. Jennifer, was there anything else that we wanted to cover in this section about the layout? And I just can't reiterate enough. Send them accurate measurements. Tell them what kind of post you're using in the corners and then the stretches, and they will just put together what you need. It just made it so easy.
It's wonderful one stop, because you can surf around that website. There are options like crazy. So regardless of what kind of post you need to use, wood square, wood round, metal posts, temporary posts for dividing large fields. They've got all the little bits and parts to make that happen. So if you just draw up a drawing, label what you want, the folks over at Field Guardian just say, okay, this is your best scenario. This is what we would recommend. Does that work for you? And they work with you. If there's because at one point there was something we decided to change before we got our parts in. Just called them on the phone and said, hey, can we try this way instead of that way? They talked me through it. Oh, that's going to be a good option for you guys. They adjusted what we needed and it worked out beautifully. So it's all about communicating, and they're really friendly people. So that's easy to do. Well, there you have it. Horse Radio Network has thousands of engaging podcasts for horse people, and you can have them sent right to your phone. Just subscribe via your favorite podcast player. This is Coach Jen, and I will be back again soon with another tip. Until then, go ride your horse. The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements made by guests on the Horse Tip Daily. Please use your own judgment when listening to the tips on this show.